Hello, World Civ 106 Late Start class. I hope that you are enjoying what you're learning. And even though you keep getting tons of information, I'm hoping that you're still finding it interesting what you're being exposed to. So this week, we're really learning about pre-Christian Europe and Christian Europe in many ways. But this is a world civilization class. What I just want to take for all of you to think about this. First of all, it's a little bit more in depth in regards to some topics than in a typical Western civilization class. But this, while I do teach this section also in my Western Civ class, the world Civ part that I would like you to try to think about is the pagan part of Europe prior to Christianity ends up having many elements that look similar in other parts of the world. Nature spirits, tribal groupings, and being broken up into tribal groups as opposed to national identities or large empires. And I'm talking about those who were outside the Rome. So Rome's a part of Europe as well, but also I want you to think about how Rome, the Romanization of the rest of the of Western Europe, and even eventually up to the north. So when it comes to the Charlemagne, one of the important figures in Western civilization, some viewing him as the founder of modern Europe. He was from the Germanic tribes. And I can't remember if I mentioned this in one of the lectures, but it talked about how initially the Romans invented the barbarian meaning Europeans for the most part, that they were conquering that were not a part of the Roman sphere. So it was a very racist, derogatory term borrowed from the Greeks, to be used for foreigners. And so anyways, the one historian said originally the Roman invented the barbarian, and then later the barbarian reinvented the Roman. In other words, the Germanic tribes that were viewed as barbarian, that were written about by the Romans and basically imagined in a very racist colonialist way that was typical that you would see when Europeans are going to do later with Africa and the American continent, North American continent, and South American continent, and Australia, New Zealand, all this stuff. That process on the Germanic tribes, and you could add the Celtic tribes, and in some cases the Slavic tribes, but more so the Germanic. That then the Germanic tribes, as they embraced Roman Christianity, then reinvented the Roman identity brought into themselves, such as with the Holy Roman Empire. And then later what we're going to see, which I want you all to notice, is we're going to learn about Africa and how African Christianity, and Ethiopia in particular, is going to develop around the same time as Constantine in the Mediterranean world. I just kind of want you to be thinking about all this in the broader global world civilization context. And then, of course, I focus on the Vikings in many ways to also show their historic links. They're very important to modern entertainment right now, but also into reshaping Europe. And I'm going to post a Germanic pagan Viking band music piece underneath to show you how there are folks still kind of embracing and reinventing the idea of old European paganism. Later on, though, what I want to show you is a kind of a problematic situation that's been happening within the neo-pagan movement, which is you have, for instance, in Iceland, There was a Icelandic farmer in modern times that claimed that the ancient gods were calling, and that he created a Asatru, long story short, which is to belief in the old gods, or to create a religious practice of Old Norse religion. And many debate about what the actual real belief in all of that is. Do they believe in them symbolically, or as actual real gods, or whatever? And but within that movement, for instance, the Asatru movement in the United States is mainly dominated by white nationalists. And the neo-Nazi movement and the white nationalist far right from Europe to the United States has also been embracing a lot of Germanic paganism and sometimes Celtic paganism. And this has caused a dilemma within the neo-pagan movement, where there's many people who are interested in Thor and Odin, or the Norse god imagery, wearing a Thor's hammer. Some just because they like it and find it interesting, in the way that many of you find Greek mythology interesting. You don't necessarily believe in it. But the problem has become is that a lot of white nationalists and neo-Nazis actually wear the Thor's hammer as well. And this is a dilemma that I had, because I have a very strong interest in Germanic mythologies. And I have that in part of my cultural background. But then I didn't know until I got into it that there were so many of these other groups, that this has been politicized by different groups. Now listen, this actually goes back to World War II, which we do cover a little bit in my 107 class. Hitler, when he was going into Germanic paganism, kind of looked to Icelandic sources and Germanic paganism as a way to celebrate Germanness. And so, unfortunately, going back to the Nazis, there was this tendency to try to kind of culturally appropriate their own culture for a more radical political agenda that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that. If you understand what I'm saying. So if you're interested in that topic at all, please let me know. In any case, I hope you're having a great week, and we'll be in touch. Keep up the good work. And if you're having any struggles or problems, please contact me as soon as possible. I'm here to help you.